What is going on, everybody? It is Monday, February the 14th, and that means it's time for my news radar. But also, of course, happy Valentine's Day to all of you lovely people out there, and a big, huge congratulations to insert winner of Super Bowl here. What a great game it was. Guys, let's get into the news. And let's start off the news with something that I love looking at, I love thinking about, and that is, of course, weird, wacky, zany phone designs straight from patents picked up by Let's Go Digital. They're just the best at this stuff. They find these patents and then they make renders based on them. And this one here is one that Samsung apparently is considering, pondering. I have to preface this by saying this will probably never come out, but it might. It's a thing that could happen. So let's take a look at here again, thanks to Let's Go Digital. And let's scroll down and let's look at this patent here, because what we're looking at is a folding device that can fold in both directions. Madness, absolute madness. So if we look here, you can see the seams. You can see the seams on the back side here. This is the idea. You could either fold this half, whoop, over that way and get this kind of look, right? Like a Huawei phone, the Huawei Mate X, I want to say, that folded basically just like a Z Fold, but the other way around, so the screen is exposed on both sides. So you could do that if you want to use it like a regular phone. Just bloop, fold it around. You got a normal phone here. You got your selfie camera hole cut out. You got your primary camera there, not covered up by this. You can flip it around and use this as a viewfinder to take pictures of yourself. Biggest issue here, I feel like every time, is that edge there is just exposed, bent screen. And that, you know, look, you've got phones with curved screens around the edges, and I'm not a huge proponent of that kind of thing because they tend to get scratched on the sides, and the touch rejection sometimes is a problem. I know some of you lovely people out there using your Surface Duo 2 in phone mode. Well, it's got curved screens there on the edge, and some of you have had some difficulty using that. I haven't personally had any issues with it, but I understand that some people have, and that's a thing that can happen. But if you don't want to use it that way, you could also fold it this way, so in the other axis, and then what you wind up with is something kind of like this, where you're just fully closed and everything is protected. The screen is fully protected on the inside, and of course, when you open it all the way up, you have a rather large tablet. And then, of course, they have a render here kind of showing at least what it would look like when it's folded all the way open, and then also what it would look like fully closed. And I think this render, if I'm not mistaken, is actually based off of a different patent that just was basically this side of this patent. So ignore this side, just this side. But still, kind of gives you an idea of what the closed variant of it would look like. And then you could probably just Google a picture of the Huawei Mate X to see the other side. I guess I could do that for you, right? Because that's pretty much what we're talking about in the other direction, right? So you fold it back around, you've got your camera still exposed on the other side. That's pretty much what we have there. Pretty wild design. I love seeing this stuff. I just love phones that I don't find boring. And I know I've made a lot of people very upset by saying the slab phones that look the same as they looked last year and the year before that. And then when I say looks like, I'm speaking broadly. I know the camera modules change and everything, but I know I made people very angry by saying the phones that I think are boring, and I know that it's weird that my opinion can anger so many people so deeply that they need to insult me personally, my appearance, and all sorts of things like that. But it's just the case, okay? I'm just not interested in normal phones anymore. I want weird phones. I want weird phones, okay? And if you don't want weird phones, that's fine. You don't have to. You don't have to want weird phones. You want what you want. I want what I want, and it's fine. There's plenty of room for both of us here on planet Earth. Let's shift gears here and talk about something pretty interesting. So we have a first developer preview of Android 13. That's right. We just got Android 12 on a lot of devices. Android 12L is in beta on some devices, and now apparently Android 13 is already in developer preview. This is the breakneck pace with which Google is releasing software that may or may not be broken on some devices is absolutely insane. And there's some good stuff going on here. In particular, some cool tablet-y stuff, some cool foldy phone stuff that I'm actually pretty interested in. So let's go through this blog post here, and we'll kind of talk about what they're focusing on here. So privacy and security remains a big focus for Google going forward. And I think it's pretty obvious why that's the case. There's been a lot of this stuff in the news lately, and it's stuff that they're going to be focusing on quite a bit. And this one's pretty cool here. So basically, they've got a brand new photo picker here. So let's say you want to share one individual photo. You don't need to give an app access to all the files on your phone. You can give it access to that one photo using this photo picker. That's a pretty smart, pretty cool thing. They've got a new thing here which is going to change the way that devices can connect to other nearby devices over Wi-Fi without needing permission to have your location. That's a good change as well. What about themed app icons? So this is something we already have a little bit on Samsung devices, so tip of the hat to Samsung as usual, where you can take a color based off of your wallpaper and then use that to theme other icons in the UI, but also to change the color of the icons. This is something we've seen in the Material You theming system on Android 12, but on Android 13, they're actually extending this beyond Google Apps to all app icons. Now, obviously, I assume if you're going to be using a custom icon pack, that sort of thing doesn't work. But if you're using the default icons in Android, just stock Android icons, these icons are going to be able to be broadly themed based on whatever color you can pick, but also based off of Material You's ability to pull a particular color out of your wallpaper to just extend theming even further than that. There's a light mode and a dark mode. So this is something that a lot of people, myself included, are probably really going to enjoy. I love having a nice, distinct look on my phone. Obviously, I daily drive a Surface Duo 2, where theming is not really something you can do at all. No custom icons on the stock launcher, and very little theming options in general, which sucks a great deal, and I hope that that does get addressed at some point in the near future, but I'm not holding my breath for that. But that's pretty cool about Android 13. Let's keep moving. And there's a lot more to this, and all this stuff is stuff that's just really not all that interesting to people that aren't developers. But the stuff that is interesting to me is this: optimizing for tablets, foldables, and Chromebooks. And we're going to jump here to another couple of articles from 9to5 Google, who have actually installed this developer preview and have uncovered some cool stuff here. So the Pixel Launcher in Android 13 Developer Preview 1 supports 2 home screen layouts. Now, if you don't know what we're talking about here, I can show you what we're talking about myself, because this is another feature that Samsung has already somewhat pioneered. So let's go to the overhead camera here, and you will see my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2, one of my favorite phones of all time. And what you're going to notice here, as I close this thing and unlock it, you will see I have 2 very distinct layouts. Look at the icons that are down here. It's 4x4. There's 5 on the bottom row down here. Let's open it up into a tablet, and oh my god, it's a totally different layout. All the icons are different. Some of these are in different places. There's more things you can do. My taskbar has deleted itself. That's a cool thing that I wish they would fix. But at any rate, there is an entirely new, there are 2 distinct layouts there. Now, why would you want that unless you have a folding device? And that's what we're talking about here, because this Pixel Launcher now has the ability to do that, almost as though Google is making a foldable device that would need that capability. Because if you are using the Z Fold and you try to just have one layout, this is what happens. You install another launcher that only has the one layout, and you're working on your tablet side, right? And you get it just how you want it, and then you close it and you unlock it on the cover display, and it's like teeny tiny and shrunk, and you can barely see into the icons, and you're like, oh, terrible. So then you go in and you enlarge things and make the cover display work, and then you open it up and everything's blown up and giant and looks terrible on the tablet screen. You need 2 distinct layouts. Google is apparently working on exactly that for their upcoming foldable. And you can see in these images here, one and then another one, exactly like you have on the Z Fold. Now, of course, this is running on a Pixel because we don't have a foldable to test this on, but there's the comparison, and there's exactly that. Kudos to 9to5 Google. How about another one? Android 13 DPI taskbar for big screen devices adds 6 total slots now, supports suggested applications. So this is something we've seen in Android 12L. There is a taskbar that you can now have at the bottom of your screen, which you can launch apps from or drag apps up to split screen. And well, now you can have apparently 6 apps in that taskbar, as well as the ability to have suggested apps. And once again, this is something that's been done by Samsung already. This is basically the same thing. This is a taskbar, except it's over on the right-hand side. And from this menu, you can launch Twitter. You can then drag another app over and split screen it. You can drag maybe down here. Now you've got another app on there. There's all kinds of cool stuff you can do there with your taskbar. And that is going to be just a built-in feature of Android 12L. And then an improved version of it will be coming to Android 13. So all in all, there's a ton of stuff already, and this feature set is likely to only grow further from there as these things do tend to progress as they move forward. Stay tuned for more coverage of Android 12L and Android 13 as more news does break. And let's wrap things up by looking at what appears to be a massive success for Samsung. The Galaxy Tab S8 appears to be selling extraordinarily well. Now guys, of course, I just did publish a video where I compared the S7 and the S8, and I talked about whether or not it made sense for some people to look at the S7 for purchase and to save themselves a couple hundred or even a few $100s, depending on what you're going to be going after, and to get a device that's going to hold up really well. And it's going to be probably very, very similar given Samsung's track record with iterative updates on their devices. One could probably grab the S7, save a bunch of money, and have a really good time. Well, apparently a lot of people are not looking at that option, are foregoing it, and are going straight to the Galaxy Tab S8 because apparently it's so popular, Samsung is now pausing pre-orders in the United States. They said, quote, "We are thrilled by the consumer response to our new Galaxy Tab S8 lineup. Due to the overwhelming demand in the last 48 hours, we will be pausing pre-orders for the Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra and the Galaxy Tab S8. The Plus model is still available. We are working quickly to meet consumer excitement and demand. Please stay tuned for more updates." And this is quite interesting to me because I was someone that looked at them and said, you know, they look great. Don't get me wrong. The S7 that I have is fantastic. I just, you know, maybe a lot of people have an S5 or something. You know, they've got an older device and they're upgrading to the S8. And if that's the case, makes total sense to me. These things do look very good. They look very similar to last year's model with the exception of the S8 Ultra, which does have a bit more going on with a thinner bezel. They've got the little notch there, but it is a 14-inch screen, a rather large 14-inch screen. I wish I could scroll down a bit further and show you more. 14.6-inch screen. Of course, it does have the brand new Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor. The pen is a little bit better. I think there's some improvements to the S Pen, which apparently reduces the latency and all sorts of things like that. So there's some definitely good stuff going on in the S8 Ultra, and it seems like it's really paying off for Samsung as these things are selling really well. It's also important to note that people that were buying the thing were also getting the type cover keyboard case, folio case, whatever you want to call this thing, included with these things, and that's a great value to get included as well. That's just about going to wrap up News Radar for the day. So thanks for making it to the end of today's video. I'll see you on the next episode, which does come every Monday and Friday. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.